Hello everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to another Calfee and Now. Today we have a special guest, a friend of mine for a long time, who is the newly chief appointed government of. Let me get this right. The newly appointed chief for government affairs for new mayor city of Cleveland, Justin Bibb. He's also the former executive director of the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party. Ryan Puente, thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me, Calfee, and the rest of the participants.
Man, that was a mouthful. I couldn't get that out. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan. I need to get my coffee this morning. Go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Ryan. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it today. I'm Dan Reinhard. I have recently rejoined the Calfee team. I spent a number of years with a client of ours and was anxious to get back to Central Ohio. And I am now back in Columbus working in our government relations team, but do a significant amount of work with both Ray and Mike in Cleveland.
Welcome back, and congrats on the move.
Thank you.
And Ryan, you remember me, Ray Tarasuck, and we've known each other for years from your time with the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party. So congratulations on your new role. We're very excited here and very excited to be working with you and Mayor Bibb going forward in the future.
Thanks, Ray. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. So we'll get started, Ryan. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into politics and ultimately ended up with the Bibb administration?
Yeah, so I first became interested in politics. It was 2004. John Kerry was running for president, and there was a town hall that my dad dragged me to. I'll say dragged because I really wasn't interested at that time in politics. And so my dad was a reporter at the time, and so he was covering the race. And so I went to that town hall, and it was really intriguing to watch all these folks from all over the state come just to hear one individual speak. And it was just, for me, it was kind of gratifying to see how, one person could impact so many lives, or tried to impact so many lives, and just kind of how many folks put him, really, they believed in him and his vision. So that that moment kind of always stuck with me. And then it really wasn't until I was in college. I did my first internship in Senator Brown's office. That was during my junior year, and I was, just an intern at the time, but I had the awesome responsibility of getting to talk to constituents every day over the phones. And so helping folks navigate the different levels of government and try to help them with, the many pressing problems and challenges that they're going through in their lives. I found that to be extremely rewarding. Not everybody likes answering the phones and getting beat up by constituents, but I actually really enjoyed it. And then that also helped me get a better understanding of government as well, and different agencies, different departments, and how to connect with different resources. So it gave me a lot more clarity when I went back to OU, graduated with a political science degree. And then after I graduated, I knew I wasn't just going to get a job right away in politics. So I actually went back for a second internship. And both of them were 5 days a week, 8 hours. And at the time, the internships were unpaid. So that told you how much I really had to enjoy doing it. And then I was there probably about 6 more months before I decided to pursue grad school. I moved to DC and got my master's at the MPA program at George Mason University. And then I was blessed to be able to do 2 internships at the White House under former President Barack Obama. And that experience just really exposed me to kind of the executive side, as well as exposed to high-level principals in the administration, from Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough to Valerie Jarrett, who was overseeing governmental affairs. So when I graduated after about 18 months, I was pretty homesick at the time. I really missed Cleveland. My family was here. My then girlfriend, now wife, Amanda, she was back home. So the day after I graduated, I got on a plane, pretty much left everything in DC. And then I started to look for a job in politics, got involved with a local consulting firm called Burgess & Burgess Strategists. And I had the privilege of working on a lot of levy campaigns, a lot of candidate campaigns, and then special projects like the Cleveland Metropolitan School District's attendance campaign, which was similar to a campaign, except for trying to win votes. We were trying to get kids in school. So those experiences kind of exposed me to the world of campaigns and politics. And then after Burgess, I went to the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party, where I was executive director, as you said, and I was there about 2 years. And that was another phenomenal experience dealing with candidates, as you know, and you know, some of the challenges that they're facing in running campaigns. But it also really exposed me to the world of precinct committee folks, and on the ground grassroots organizing, and just a wonderful group of folks that I got to interact with, as well as various constituency groups and affinity groups. So that's how I ended up kind of to my most current recent role, which was managing now Mayor Bibb's campaign. He reached out, I think it was early 2019. And I think, as you know, when he told me that he was going to be doing this, I just, you know, I think I had the same reaction that a lot of folks did: was, "You crazy?" And you know, to his credit, he stayed on me for the better part of a year, and so then I left the Democratic Party in December of 2020 and managed his campaign starting in January of 21. And then, you know, we had a hell of a year together.
Ryan, Chief of Government Affairs itself is a new position in and of itself. I mean, the previous administration had one individual that was Chief of Government Affairs and Communications as well. And now the sole role of Chief of Government Affairs, your role, is essentially a new role in and of itself. Describe for us some of the duties and your responsibilities going forward as the Chief of Government Affairs itself.
Yeah, largely it's maintaining and building relationships with a lot of external stakeholders, particularly in government and labor. So, you know, building and developing and on the relationships I already have, particularly with a lot of the State House delegation, as well as the federal delegation, and being able to connect with the various resources that are available in hopes of bringing dollars back to Cleveland. And then also labor. My family history, I didn't mention this in the opening, but I grew up in labor. My dad was a Teamster for 14 years before becoming an investigative reporter. My uncle's president of Local 5 bricklayers. All my grandfathers were United Auto Workers. So labor has always been in my bones. And I think that's the other value that I add to the administration, is just continuing to kind of be the conduit and the ear directly to the mayor's office for labor. So it's largely just, like I said, building relationships and maintaining those, so we can connect residents with different resources and hopefully bring dollars back. Particularly right now, as you all know probably intimately well, we're going to have the state capital bill coming up. So, you know, trying to make sure that Cleveland's getting its fair share of resources available in Columbus, as well as the federal government. Most recently, the mayor and I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and we were able to connect with Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. And just from that meeting alone, we were able to identify 40 different grant opportunities that are coming down the pike. And so making sure the administration is prepared to identify and go after those opportunities, that's kind of the goal of my role.
Great, Ryan, that's great. And I think so many people know and understand how important of an economic engine Cleveland is for the state of Ohio. And we're incredibly supportive of Cleveland's success. We're invested in the mayor's success and taking Cleveland to that next step forward. With that in mind, you identified a couple of items you're identifying at the Conference of Mayors. What are some of the top goals and targeted areas of progress for the Bibb administration in, say, this first 100 days?
I'll start with, I think, the one we talked about quite a bit on the campaign, and we're still, you know, we're dealing with it firsthand, is a modern and responsive city hall. How can we, as an administration, make it easier for residents to connect with resources or stakeholders? So if you're a business and you're trying to seek a permit, you know, you don't have to go through 5 or 6 departments. How can we make that easier for the consumers? So, you know, maybe streamlining the process so you only have to go to one department, almost a one-stop shop, to be able to get business done. So we have to, as the mayor has said continuously throughout the campaign, City Hall needs to be moving at the speed of business and being able to respond fairly quickly and efficiently, so we don't lose projects or we miss out, or stakeholders don't miss out on funding opportunities. And then also a modern responsive hall for residents. So that way, instead of having to take 2 or 3 buses to come down to City Hall, you know, can you do business in the neighborhoods at a library? Are you able to get access to those resources directly? You know, a couple a couple minutes walks from your home. So instead of having to have all these barriers to getting down to do business, how can we bring government to the neighborhoods? And that's something we talked quite a bit about on the campaign. A couple other key priorities: public safety will always be the #1 priority. We've had the past couple of years a record number of homicides, and so finding again different resources, particularly around technology, so we can start to curb and prevent and combat some of the violence that we're seeing, not just in Cleveland, but in cities all across the country. And that was another wonderful part about being able to go to the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We were able to exchange ideas with other cities, other mayors around some of the things that they're doing. So hearing about, for instance, in Shreveport, Louisiana, they have a real-time crime center that's not only tracking crimes as they occur in real time, but using that resource also for illegal dumping and to curb that issue as well. So aside from that, another priority is going to be high quality education. So not just what happens inside the school, but what happens outside the school when students leave that school setting. What opportunities are available for them? So that way we're keeping students busy. They're still learning outside the classroom, and also connecting back to the modern and responsive City Hall. Even just pool times, are the pool times aligned with the school year calendar, so that when students are out for the summer, are our pools open at kind of 9, 10 a.m., just like they are in the suburbs, instead of not opening till almost 1 p.m. So changing things like that. And then also these ARPA dollars that are coming down the pike, making sure that we're leveraging those resources like other cities are too, to get, for lack of a better term, more bang for our buck. So how do we leverage those dollars and work with our state partners and our federal partners, so those dollars can go a lot farther to addressing some quality of life issues that we're seeing. So those are just a couple of the key priorities. But it's, we're going to be dealing with a whole host of issues and challenges, but trying to put people in neighborhoods first, as the ethos of the campaign was.
Great.
Ryan, I want to pivot back for a second, back to your role in the administration. And Dan's question was directed towards the first 100 days of the administration's goals. Talk a little bit about your goals for your role over the next 100 days, the first 100 days of administration.
Right now, the biggest project that I'm taking on, along with my colleagues, the mayor, he started a task force around COVID-19, as we're seeing the Omicron variant spread rapidly throughout the community. It was important for the mayor to show leadership, visibility, and public engagement on COVID-19. So this task force is made up of nearly 40 individuals through all different sectors throughout the community. So I'm helping lead that task force, organizing it. And the biggest part that we're going to roll out fairly soon is an aggressive public education and awareness campaign. So what resources are available for residents? Where can you go get testing done? Where can you go to obtain a vaccine? Right now, we're at 45% of the city that has been fully vaccinated. So the mayor set a goal similar to the county that we would like to see that more increased at almost 60%. So that's one of the bigger projects. And then, like I mentioned before, the state capital bill is going to be coming down the pike. So working with a lot of different stakeholders to identify what projects are a priority for them, and then working with our county and state delegation to really drive a unified, as well as our business partners, to identify and drive a unified agenda. That's something I think that has been missing in Cleveland for quite some time, and you hear about it quite a bit. So instead of everybody submitting, 20 to 30 different project priorities, how can we work together to identify what are some of those top 5 or top 10, and hopes that we can bring back real resources. So that's some of the stuff I'm working on right now, as well as continuing just to build relationships throughout the community in my new role, particularly with a lot of my counterparts in different sectors as well: healthcare, business, philanthropy, nonprofit. That's been the bulk of my first couple weeks.
Well, this has been great, Ryan. I've known you for years, and I've known you've had a master plan this whole time, and it ended up working. And so, I want to say thank you on behalf of Calfee, and congratulations on behalf of Calfee to you and Mayor Bibb. And to reiterate kind of something Dan said earlier, we're fully supportive of the Bibb administration, and looking forward to New Cleveland. So with that being said, is there anything final you want to say? You know, obviously our clients are going to see this, the business community is going to see this Calfee Now interview. Is there any parting words you want to leave with us?
Just that it's funny, Mike. I think Friday is the Young Dems. They're going to give the mayor and myself an award, and you and I started that organization 4 years ago. And to see kind of where we both are now, it's been quite a remarkable journey. And so, just
Been a ride.
fun to watch. Been a ride. So, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk a little bit about the administration myself, and I also look forward to being a valued partner on behalf of the mayor and the administration.
That being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning into our latest Calfee Now.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks.
care, everybody.